Hello, everybody. Peter the Book Lover here. Welcome to my channel. I'm a person that talks about books and movies, and I have a great time doing it. Hopefully, you'll have a great time as well. Right now, I'm in the middle of doing a challenge, the Read What You Own challenge. It's a challenge to where you're supposed to read 100 books without buying new ones, and that's what I'm doing. Although I added a stipulation for myself that I wasn't going to reread books. So I'm just reading books that I've never read before. And I've got 16 of them down, and I've got 84 to go. And this is the 16th book that I've read for this challenge. And this is Night by Elie Wiesel. And this is a story that's a person's actual experience. So this is a true story. This is a person not reminiscing, but giving you the details of what he went through during the Holocaust. And Elie is actually short for Eliezer, and him and his family wind up going to a concentration camp. Now, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but I'm going to give you a kind of brief summary what happens in this book. This book starts off to where he is making a friend with a beetle. And this beetle, a beetle is, I believe, a person that's like a religious scholar. I don't think they're a priest or anything like that, but I think it's a person that's studying God's word. And him and this beetle are kind of getting along with each other, and they're studying the Bible together. And the beetle actually winds up, in the beginning of the story, winds up getting deported, which means that he gets sent to a concentration camp. And when he gets took, there's a lot of people getting shot at with the people that are taken. So this guy gets shot in the leg, and they leave him there for dead. Then he comes back to the town, and he's trying to tell the people what's going on. But the thing about it, during this time, the only news you were able to get at this time was propaganda. Nazi propaganda. And the Nazi propaganda didn't let you know any of this stuff was going on. You didn't know anything about concentration camps. And you, as a matter of fact, you didn't know the Nazis were losing when they were fighting against Russia. You know, they were giving you an impression that they were doing fine and everything was wonderful. And the reason why is because the government had control of the media. So you only got one news source, unless you had to sneak to get other news sources. So he goes back to this town, tries to tell everybody what's going on, and they really don't believe him. And then things start happening slowly. Like the first thing that they actually see is that they're made to wear stars, and they're actually thinking it's really not that bad. And they kept on thinking that, you know, these things are happening. There's anti-Semitism all around, but they're not thinking that it's going to get that bad. And they were thinking that they were not going to be a part of this because they were in Hungary, because they were Hungarians. The Hungarian police was the first people that they met that was trying to enforce the laws that the Germans were having. So him and his family are believing that they're safe, but they're kind of seeing things that are developing that aren't going in the right direction. And eventually they make their neighborhood a ghetto. So their house is in the ghetto, but they're still in their house. So, you know, and they're meeting Nazis, but the Nazis aren't really showing them aggression in the beginning. So they actually think that, oh, you've been telling me these Nazis are these monsters, but they don't seem like monsters to me. But as things go on, they see how horrible things can get. And then they actually they're in the ghetto, and then they evacuate the ghetto they're in, and they move them into another ghetto. And they're seeing because the other people that were in the ghetto, they've got shipped away to concentration camps, and now they went into this new ghetto, and they're living in houses of where other people used to live. So now they're living in other people's houses. And then eventually it gets to the point to where they get taken to the concentration camp. And then when you get to the concentration camp, he gives you a vivid detail of all the things that he sees. And some of the things you see are just plain brutal. You know, he sees the crematoriums, and people are just being fed into the crematoriums. They know about the crematoriums, and they're always worried about getting sent to the crematoriums. And then he gets separated by most of his family, but he still has his father with him, and him as his father go through a lot of things together in this story. And it's you also see a lot of people deteriorating in a way to where a father will take food from his son, or a son will take food from his father, because they were all starving to death, man. Like when he first gets to this concentration camp, he actually kind of doesn't want to eat the food because he really doesn't like the food, but eventually he's willing to eat anything because they wind up getting desperate. And yeah, there's some lines in this book that will make you stop for a minute, and and you'll be really emotional. Like I say, if you're a person that cries easy, you're going to need a box of tissue to read this book, because there's some really tragically sad things that happen in this. And the thing about this book is the last line. The last line is like really incredible. I don't want to give away what this is, but it's really incredible. Now, this book is about 109 pages long, so it's very short. And the thing about this is this was first written in French, but they eventually translated it. And I have this translation, and this is by Stella Rodway, but there are other translations, because right now I'm going through this book again, but I'm listening to the audiobook as I read along with it, and it's a different translation. And it's really interesting to, after you've read one translation, to go through another translation and see the differences between the translations. They're saying the same thing, but sometimes they say things a little bit differently. And I'm able to read along and follow along, but sometimes you get different sentences that are there, but the sentences equal the same thing. And it's a really interesting thing. And this book, I highly recommend it. This is Night by Elie Wiesel, Elie Wiesel for short. And yeah, this is a great book. I highly recommend it. And this is number 16 on the Read What You Own challenge. And every 5 books, see, I've got a plan for 5 books. I'm not going to talk about the 5 books that I have planned. But every time that I get through 5 books, I'm going to give you the next 5 books that I plan on reading. The way that I'm doing, I'm picking out 5 books at a time on the books that I plan on reading next. But I will, when I get done with these 5, then I will give you the next 5 that I have planned. So that's about it. Yeah, I definitely recommend this. This is a really, really good book, but difficult book to read, because it's very, very sad. And it's hard to believe that people can be so cruel to other people. Okay, so I am Peter the Book Lover. I want to thank you for stopping by, and I hope to see you in the next video. And I hope you have a nice day. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. If you've read this book, let me know what you think. If you plan on reading this, let me know what you think. I'd love to hear from you. And thank you so much. I will see you next time. Bye.